Hi, I hope you can see this okay. I've never done this kind of video before, but I thought it'd be an interesting one to my set of videos. I used to do professional cake decorating. I used to make a lot of wedding cakes and birthday cakes. I'm just going to move this camera a minute, so in my neck. I used to make a lot of cakes, and when my health got worse, my neurologist said that I shouldn't be doing cakes because of the standing with my back and the bending with my neck problems. So I gave it up professionally a few years ago. I still do it for friends and family, and it really is one of my hobbies, which I really love doing. But I've only done a handful this year, probably 3 if that. So I really don't do it much anymore because I struggle so much to cope with it. But it's my auntie's 60th birthday at the end of next week, and I'm making her birthday cake. So I'm doing a chocolate ganache cake, and I'm doing some autumn leaves to go around the edge, and I'm making the leaves out of sugar. So I thought I'd show you how I'm doing that, and I hope you enjoy it. We'll see how I get on because I haven't done this kind of video before. So I've got my icing made up in here, different colours. I made these up last night. So I added some gel paste to ordinary sugar paste. Sorry, that's flour paste. And the reason this is different is because it rolls really thin, and you can get really thin leaves. These are some of the ones that I've already done. I'll just show you those. Those are some of the ones that I've just been working on. So they're just drying at the moment in this flower former, which is shaped so that it gives the leaves their shape to hold. So I'm just rolling this out, and I'm going to roll it really thin. If it gets a bit sticky, you can add a little bit of this. I've got some Trex here, which is vegetable fat. You can add a little bit of that, and it just stops it sticking on the board. So you want to roll it really thin, like wafer thin. Just keep picking it up every couple of rolls though and turn it, because otherwise it will stick to the board. So just keep rolling it out until it's really thin. If it's a bit too sticky, you can dust it with a little bit of, I've got corn flour in here. This is a corn flour duster. You can just give it a little bit of dust, but you don't want to dust it too much or it will dry the icing out and it will crack. So just keep working that until it's really thin. And actually what you want to do is you want to be able to see through it. I don't know if you can see on there. You can actually see through that now. So you want it really wafer thin so you can see through. And then you want to take your cutter. Instead of cutting it like that, you want a clean cut. So what you do is you put it behind, you put the icing on the top, and you roll the icing with your roller over that cutter. And then, I don't know if you can see, you can just see the imprint there coming through. And just take your rolling pin and just roll it round. You can use the end of it, roll it round till you get a really clear cut and there's nothing that's still attached to the icing. And then you can take that bit of icing off. I'm going to pop it under here so it doesn't dry out. You want to make sure your icing doesn't dry out, otherwise it's going to crack. This is just a plastic sheet, and that's going to go over the top of there to just keep it nice and supple for me. And then we want to take a tool, and you can just poke it gently through there, just very carefully, and it will pop out in your hand. Now what I've done is I've done quite a few and put them under here too. I think you can just about see that. I'll put them under there to rest for a minute while I cut some more out. I'm just going to cut a couple more leaves out in the same way. Now the reason this isn't good for me with my health problems is because it does actually take such a lot of energy to stand and to do this. And I actually found last night when I was making the icing up, it was really hurting my hands just to squeeze the icing together to mix it. So There's lots of different reasons why I struggle more with this now than I used to. Just got a leaf doing a funny shape thing in here, so I'm just going to move that slightly. So we'll just pop this out. Just pop that out there. Right, now I've got 2 now, so I think that'll do for the time being, just for the purposes of this video. If I wasn't doing the video, I would do a few more at once. And then we take this tool here. This has got a sharp point in that bit there. So I'm going to use this to vein the flowers. So just literally just run it down the centre and just do the little leaf veins on this one. I don't have a veining imprint tool for this particular leaf. Some of them come, and you can get these kind of silicone moulds. This is a maple leaf, and when I do the maple leaves, I'm going to press that between the moulds to make the veins. But I don't have one for this. But to be honest, this kind of leaf doesn't actually need a veiner mould, because it only really needs the main sort of strikingly bold veins really on this one. So we can draw those in with the scribing tool. I don't know if you can see that there. I don't know. Anyway, let's carry on. I'm going to take this ball tool, and you go from the tip of the leaf around the outside very gently to just thin it out a bit and curve it a bit. Give it a bit of shape. We're not going to give it too much at the moment, or thin it too much, because I'm going to dust it. But I'm just going to thin it a little bit, and we'll do it a bit more after we've dusted. So just a little, thin the tips of the leaves out slightly there. Now I'm going to pop it on here. This is just a piece of kitchen roll, and as you can see, I've laid out my colours, so they're relatively sort of in colour groups here. And what I'm going to do now is just give it some colour with this brush. I'm just going to give it a bit of colour to colour it up. Now we want them to look as realistic as possible, so I'm going to start off with some yellow and go around the outsides. All right, Lydia? Yeah. Just give it a bit of a dust. I'm just in a video, you can come in if you want to. I'm just going to give it a bit of a dust with this one. And I've been watching a picture on my phone of autumn leaves to try and get the colour, the right sort of colour. But what I want to do is get them all looking slightly different, so they look like they're at different times of their colour turning. So I'm going to put a bit of orange on this one, around the edge. You just do it in certain areas so that some areas end up with more of one colour than a different colour, and you can just layer it up in different areas here. So I'll put a little bit less orange on this one over here, a little bit more orange on this one, so a bit darker, and then I'm going to use a bit of red. Now this one's quite a strong one, so I'm going to just get it off of here, use that as a bit of a palette. And I'm just going to do a little bit on this one, in theory, and a bit more on the other one. So we've got, just blow that bit off. This dust colour can sometimes be a bit lumpy, so by putting it on the kitchen roll, it means that we can break up any lumps. Make that a bit more, a bit of a darker red though. Now, when these are dry, if you want them to have a glossy look, rather than varnishing them, you can hold them for a second over some steam like a kettle. And what it does is it brings out the colour and it gives them a bit of a glossy shine. So I think I'm gonna put a bit more yellow on, a bit of yellow on this one. Just take that out there and straight on, that on there. So when they're coloured up, you see they're different shades of autumn leaf there. I'm just going to bring it back onto this one, onto the foam pad, where we can just thin the leaves out slightly more. Now if the leaves have gone dry, if the icing has gone dry, it will actually crack at this point. So just do this really, really carefully. I'm just going to, oops, coming off the edge there. Just give them a bit of shape. Now, the other problem I'm going to have with this cake is that normally I would put these kind of leaves onto dry, hard sugar paste icing on a normal cake. But on this one, I've got to do chocolate ganache, which is very wet, and it will stay very wet. Now, if I put these leaves straight on that ganache and leave it for a couple of days, or even a day, even a couple of minutes, the leaves will absorb the moisture and basically will melt. So what I'm going to have to do is to take the leaves to the party venue and put them on the cake at the very last minute, because otherwise it's just going to get spoiled. Okay, so then you can pop them on your foam, and when you've got them on a foam pad, you can just shape them a little bit more and then leave them to dry on this, and then they will hold their shape when they dry, and you will end up with, hopefully I can show you with this one, the leaves will have a bit of shape to them when they're dried. These aren't 100% dried yet, so I'm going to leave them on here a bit longer. So I hope that's been helpful. I think what I'll do is I won't post this yet because I don't want my auntie to see it before her party. So what I will do is probably do a bit more and show you the next stage of the cake next time. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time.